What's up, guys? Welcome to this installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs. Thank you so much for watching. So this video that you're watching right now, I'm actually redoing it because I filmed this video about 2 weeks ago, and I ended up using, the tripod, something a little different instead of me holding the camera. But on this video, I actually cut my head off, and it's kind of annoying. So I figured I'm just going to redo it like this anyway. Plus, it's nicer out today. It's still kind of cold. But I figure I'll just redo it. I wasn't too happy with my head being chopped off, mostly in the other one. That also means that the next 2 vlogs have been filmed 1 week ago as you're watching this. So I already know which 2 vlogs are coming out. And I think that you guys are going to be pleased with the next 2 vlogs because, well, one of them is me driving something, and the other one is a little more on a personal standpoint. So, vlog 128 and vlog 129, I think, will be something that you guys may or may not enjoy. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. But let's get on with this one, because this vlog is pertaining to the old broken Aztek. Now, a few months ago, shortly after I purchased this 2001 Pontiac Aztek GT, this beautiful Pontiac Aztek GT, my broken Pontiac Aztek GT, I went to the dealership, the GM dealership. Oh, this wet cardboard that keeps blowing out from under there. Ugh. It's time to throw it away. Ugh. Anyway. Wow. So, I went to the GM dealership and I got a quote on some of the things that I thought I was going to have to order for the Aztek. And I made a video about it just to kind of share with you guys roughly how much money I was going to be sinking into this little endeavor. And I forget what the exact amount was, but it was, I want to say, roughly around $600 and some, $700 and some dollars. Probably should have researched that before I came out here, but no biggie. Because I did something a little bit different. I got a new quote, and this time it is not from the dealership. It is from a normal retailer, parts store. So because it's so breezy out here, I'm gonna actually film the rest of this mostly inside the Aztek. I haven't been in here in a while, so hopefully there's nothing living in here. So as I was saying, I decided to get a new quote from an actual automotive parts store because I found out that because of the dealership that I work for has a corporate account with them, I can actually get a small discount off of parts through this particular store. So it may actually work out a little bit better if I did it this way instead of spending way more money going through the dealership and ordering parts from there. Now, as much as I would have liked to keep everything on this car, AC Delco or GM, that's not going to happen. I mean, honestly, the car may not even be worth having any official parts on it anymore. I mean, it's so old and it's in pretty rough condition underneath and such. Who knows how long I'm even going to be able to really enjoy having this car once everything is rebuilt and put back together and replaced, and who knows. I mean, I definitely want to keep it as long as I can. I just am kind of concerned about the structural well-being of the car, but hey, in time, mechanically, it's going to be sound, I think. I hope. Oh, God, I hope so. Now, when I did the original quote, I did quote things on this list that I got from this retailer, but There were also things that I didn't quote because I ended up buying them from the junkyard and such, like the hood shocks, the rear liftgate shocks, stuff along those lines I had already found, so they're obviously not quoted here. And other little things too, like the key. As we all know, there's only one key to this Aztek right now, and I did quote that at the dealership. It was like 50 some dollars for an additional key, plus my key is the original, and it is kind of worn down, so they would have to fine cut it or something. I'm not sure, but anyway, that's obviously not on here, and I don't even know if I'm gonna worry about getting the second key. Not for at least for a while anyway. I'm not getting a second key for it. So here's what I did quote, and I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you guys exactly what's on this list, and then I'm gonna give you guys the final total, and we're gonna go from there. Now, when I did this, I was at the parts store, and I was just kind of thinking off the top of my head the stuff that I know I'm gonna need. So this isn't everything that I need for the tech. This is just the stuff that I know I'm going to want to get right away, but there's always going to be something else coming up. But as of right now, this is what we're going to be looking at. Here we go. The first couple of items are the items that I want to replace immediately once this engine is completely torn off, which, by the way, my buddy is coming over here in a couple of days for sure. We already set the time and stuff, and we are going to cut off the rest of that exhaust stud, so that head will be off this weekend, I promise, and I will be back behind the camera to give you guys an update on that, but it's coming off. That's happening, I promise. The first few items on here are the items that I want to take care of immediately, since I'm going to have more room to get in there, and this is what we're going to do first. The power steering line, both power steering lines, the high pressure line and the return line, both need to be replaced, as I've mentioned in the previous vlogs about this vehicle. So both of those lines are on here, and I can get these a lot cheaper than I can through GM. So we got both of the power steering lines on here, as well as both of the transmission lines, the high pressure line and the return cooler line. As we all know, again, we know those lines are shot because of the fact that the transmission completely gave out on me as I was moving this Aztek from that side of the driveway to where it is sitting now. It's looking foamy now, yeah. I really did think that the power steering line was leaking because there was no power getting to the rack at all, but I kind of really didn't think that the transmission was leaking. But I guess I was wrong, so everything leaks, apparently. Moving on. I want to get a new thermostat. The thermostat that I pulled out of here, which is back here somewhere, but I'm not going to dig for it right now. It doesn't look like it's in too bad of shape. In fact, the coolant that was in this Aztek, or still somewhat in, is not in that bad of shape at all. It's still pretty bright and still pretty green, so somebody looks like, they must have changed out the coolant at some point, even before whichever intake or head gasket has gone. There's no gook or anything inside the coolant for the most part, so that seemed to be okay. But I do want to get a new thermostat anyway, since I pulled it out already, and before we put everything back together, I just would feel more comfortable having a new thermostat with the fresh coolant in there. And therefore, with the coolant situation, I also am surprised that I can get the coolant bypass tube and the coolant hose that comes off of the thermostat housing, both of these lines, which end up going to the heater core. I knew I wanted to replace the coolant bypass tube because it just looks terrible, and I don't know how long it's going to last just from looking at it, but I honestly just didn't like the appearance of it either. I want to try to get everything under the hood looking good when it's done, and that bypass tube is just completely rusted and awful to look at, so I'm sure structurally it's not going to hold up forever either. So I thought that was a part that I was going to have to get from GM, but it turns out I can get it through this retailer, so that's the route we're going to go, along with, like I said, the heater hose that comes off of the thermostat housing and goes into the heater core. So we're going to get both of those replaced. I did end up damaging the thermostat housing hose anyway, trying to get it off of the thermostat housing. I basically, I mean, it didn't look like it was in good a shape anyway, so might as well just replace it. I got some exhaust studs quoted on here. I only have 12 studs quoted. I'm not including the ones I'm going to have to replace coming from the crossover pipe under the hood, because I did end up breaking, I cut them, I hacksawed them to get the front exhaust manifold off. So, I mean, I'm looking at more than just 12 studs, but I was recently thinking, depending on the price of what an entire kit's going to cost, I might just end up replacing the exhaust manifolds with new studs, the new manifold, and the heat shields. And I only thought about that recently because I damaged all of the heat shields on these exhaust components. The one against the firewall, as I may have mentioned in the last video, I basically had to bend out. In fact, this is the back shield that goes onto the back of the exhaust, or on the rear exhaust. This is the shield for it, and as you can see, I had to bend it just to get it off, and I broke the hole. You see that where that's broken? I had to break that to get it away from the stud because that stud was already rounded out. So this was the way I had to do it. So I need new shields, and unfortunately, I do know I'm going to have to get the shields by themselves from GM. However, if I buy a kit from this retailer with a new exhaust manifold, it'll come with these and the studs. So I may just end up doing that. I also had to take off the O2 sensor that's on the rear exhaust manifold, and I damaged that also. It was really on there, and I actually had to rent a special tool to get it off. So that was really not that big a deal. But you know, a new O2 sensor is here. Might as well replace it. The service engine light does come on and go off periodically, from what I've seen when the car was running. So, you know, we're going to clean all the sensors or replace what we can. So I'm sure the O2 sensor is going to be one of them. So that's on here. I quoted a new serpentine belt. The belt that is on this car really isn't in too bad of shape, but the power steering pump pulley, which is also quoted on here that I can get, the power steering pump pulley is cracked and there's a chunk missing off of it, so it was cutting into one side of the belt and I didn't like it, so we're going to replace the belt as well as the power steering pump pulley. Now, aside from the stuff that's under the hood that we know, we're going to also replace these front brake rotors and brake pads. These rotors look god-awful, so we're going to get new brakes, at least for the front. I don't know how bad the back brakes are yet, but I know the front ones have to be changed. They look bad, so new brake rotors and brake pads are on this list as well. And to conclude this, we are going to do 6 new spark plugs, which these are the original AC Delco double platinum spark plugs, which is what the Aztek recommends. So this is one of the things that this place has that's actually cheaper than any other brand, as far as it being original AC Delco. So we're gonna get those 6 spark plugs by the AC Delco brand once we start putting that together. And we also are doing the new ignition spark plug wires also, because the spark plug wires that were on here were all messy. They were the wrong lengths. I don't know. Somebody just threw some wires on there to get the job done, but I don't like it. So we're just gonna get new wires anyway, and that way they'll all be to size and stuff. The grand total of everything on this list that I just mentioned to you is $568.92, and that's actually pretty good. I feel. I feel a lot better with that number than I did with the number at the GM dealership. So we're definitely going to go that route when the time comes to start actually getting down to putting everything together. As I mentioned, there's a few things on this list that, or a few things not on the list that I know I'm going to need in due time. I did get a price for the tires. As you've seen, the tires on this car are terrible, and the Aztek is leaning toward the front passenger side because the tire is completely flat. That tire is cracked all the way around. It's completely dry rotted. I mean, once the car is up and running, I'm gonna even be nervous to just drive it around the block to see how it's gonna drive, or how it's gonna run and stuff. But the tires will be a must, and I'm going to go with the Mastercraft brand. I'm not doing anything too expensive, but the quote that I got for the Mastercraft tires are roughly about $70 a tire, and of course I'll have to take them somewhere to have the tires put on, so that gives me an idea of what I'm doing for tires. I did not get the brake lines quoted on there because my friend, who's actually coming over in a few days to finish doing the cutting, he's going to help me do the lines, and I don't know if he's going to have line or what we're doing there. So once he sees what we need, we're just going to go from there with whatever he feels is going to be appropriate. And some other things I might need a fuel filter, as well as maybe a couple of the fuel lines running from that filter. The rear suspension, I don't think, is hooked up to the air compressor underneath the driver's seat on the bottom of the car, so that might have to be something to look forward to having replaced. The climate control or fan speed resistor under the glove box is going to have to be replaced. There's the actual body, which I am not going to look forward to having done. The rust behind the door, as I showed you in the last video, is getting really bad. I mean, literally, the rust is just collecting on the ground from every time this door here opens and closes, and the back door over here is not too far behind, so I know that's gonna cost a lot of money just to have this, if it's even possible to have it fixed. So I'll worry about that in due time. Hopefully it just doesn't completely, that whole panel just doesn't give out or anything. Stuff that's gonna treat the plastic on the sides of the Aztek, that's about $20 a can from what I was being told. It's a kind of like a paint made for plastic cladding on a vehicle like this. It's gonna give it back to its black color, and that's what I'm gonna use to restore the bumper and all of the side claddings on the Aztek. So it's gonna be black, but I'm gonna need several cans of that, as I was told you need at least 2 to 3 coats to make it look really good. So at $20 a can, who knows how many cans I'm gonna need. So the actual appearance of the Aztek is gonna be, in most aspects anyway, is gonna be, could be costly. And of course, our various fluids and such that we're going to have to top off once all of the other components are replaced. New engine coolant, new transmission fluid, new power steering fluid, new engine oil, of course, along with a filter and a lot of sea foam. So once we cover all of these tasks and items that have to be replaced, I'm really hoping that this Aztek is going to ride, run, and drive, and look like new, or close to new anyway. So I still have high hopes in it being a awesome car once it's done, and I just can't wait to get it on the road. So until then, we just gotta take it little by little, one step at a time. So I'm done rambling on. If you guys enjoyed this vlog, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. Also check out teespring.com/stores/Mike's Vehicle Spotlight for all of your MVS and vlog related apparel. And like I said, you'll want to stay tuned to the next that are coming out probably in about a week or so from when this is being posted. That's all I've got for you guys. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.